All right, welcome. So I'd like to welcome everyone, especially our guests from outside of the PACE community. If I could ask you not to turn off your phones, but just to turn them on silent and use them to tweet about the event. You'll see we put up the hashtag PACE pitch, and we're the PACE Entrepreneurship Lab or PACE eLab. So we use @PACE eLab with the hashtag PACE pitch. And I welcome everyone to tweeting questions. So the judges will ask questions. You're welcome to ask questions as well via Twitter. And but otherwise, we're not passing around a microphone to ask questions. Also, afterwards, you could ask questions of the judges. And we have some really big prizes. And by really big, I mean extra large shirts. So tweet pictures, tweet questions, and throughout the event I'll give out, we have t-shirts, polo shirts, and other shirts, and some pens. So tweet away and make sure to use, cheer for your teams, etc. I'd like to thank a few people, but starting with Professor Eric Kessler for bringing his organizational theory class, Management 627. You here? Okay. And a big thank you to Professor Deborah Fain, who brought her new product development, Marketing 431 class. They're very excited to be here. Some are in my business plan development class, and we're excited to see them and cheer on their classmate, one of the contestants. I'd also like to thank the judges, James Quick, a technical evangelist at Microsoft, Ian Scott, the managing director of Scott Legal Services, David Setterholt, the executive vice president and chief operating officer of Strategic Funding Source, Inc., and David's a PACE alum, Dyson Bachelor of Science 73. And I'm a PACE alum as well. And April Tam Smith, who's the executive director at Morgan Stanley and the founder of Lantern of Hope Foundation. And she'll talk about both. I'd also like to thank the contestants who were brave enough to come and put in some work. We have 8 teams, but some of the teams have multiple contestants, and I just want to recognize all of them. So from Codapillar, we have Olga Bogomolova, Julie Geither. From CrimeScan, we have Wei Jia and Shane Duda. From EatCard, we have Alexa McKenna. From GoGoFeed, we have Bo Liu, Ni Mei, and Sukan Lee. From Independent Artists Charitable Foundation, we have John Riley O'Hanley. From My People app, we have Ciriel Utro, Marina Gomez de Moto, Macedo, Luis Enrique, and Everton Abreu Correa. From NATA, we have Sijia Pang and Yi-Q Guo. And the 8th team from Rampac, we have Robin Williams Jr. and Robert Huguenot, both of whom are veterans who are participating in the PACE Veterans Entrepreneurship Boot Camp. Yay for the veterans. If anyone deserves a hand, it's the veterans. So speaking of the Veterans Boot Camp, that's a program where you got a $50,000 grant from Blackstone to run this program, and we'll be on TV a couple times in the coming weeks. Once is on Hiring America, April 25th at 1:30 on ABC, and then we're going to be on SciTech Now, hosted by Hari Srinivasan on April 29th at 7 p.m. on PBS. Both of them are broadcast nationally. A lot of the other contestants participated in the all-day hackathon we had for the part of the PACE Mobile App 3.0 competition. And just to let you know, it was the first year we did that. The 3rd year we had the app design contest, and I wasn't sure how many people would give up a Friday to come in and spend the whole day learning to code and make an app, but we had 25 people, 15 women and 10 guys, 10 teams, and by the end of the day, they all had working apps And James Quick from Microsoft was one of the mentors helping along, but it was a really exciting day. And lastly, I'd like to thank the eLab staff, especially our Associate Director, Nikhil Kalyankar. Where are you, Nikhil? Right here. My graduate assistant, John Harrison, and the rest of the team. Where's the rest of the eLab team that do a lot of work? So just to give you an idea of the agenda for tonight, we saw the registration 5:30 to 6 at Network. We were able to start right at 6, so thank you for coming in on time. After the brief welcome from me on the judges, the finalists will make their pitch. All 8 teams will have exactly 3 minutes and may use a maximum of 5 PowerPoint slides. All the slides are preloaded. Nikhil will be bringing them up. They're going to be in order of those that are on your program. It's alphabetical order by the team name. And then after all 8 have presented, we're going to take a short break. There may be some food left. And then the judges will quickly, do some thinking, do some debating, do some arguing, do some horse racing, and come up with a first, second, and third place winner. And then we'll call everybody back, so don't go too far. It should only take about 5 to 10 minutes. And before we announce the winners, the judges will provide a bit of feedback on each of the, it could be on each of the teams, but also some general feedback on presenting. This is meant to be kind of a living case study. It's not just for the 8 teams presenting, but for everyone in the audience as well. So I'll introduce myself and the eLab briefly, and then I'll ask each of the judges to introduce themselves and their firm briefly. So if you don't know, I'm Bruce Backenheimer. I'm a clinical professor of management and the executive director of the Entrepreneurship Lab. I am a PACE alum. I graduated with a BBA in '83. I'd studied international management, and afterwards I started working, not a typical academic background. I started working on Wall Street a few blocks away from here for the Bank of Tokyo and then an Australian bank. Wall Street was good. I took off. I went sailing for 7 years and started the Annapolis Maritime Corp. Got recruited. I worked on a government contract doing forensic firearms identification where I worked in about 25 countries. Got a scholarship to do a graduate degree in Australia, started a company over there called Stock Central, came back and worked for a venture capital firm and always wanted to teach. I started teaching at Mercy College initially in 2002, so I guess 13 years ago, came to PACE. And just a little bit about the Entrepreneurship Lab. So the Entrepreneurship Lab is just over 3 years old. You may notice in the pitch contest, we're in the 11th year. I started it when I was still an adjunct faculty member back in 2004. And PACE's entrepreneurship program is actually pretty long established. It was formally established as an undergraduate concentration in 1979, so it's 35 years old. That might not sound that old, but it's one of the earliest programs in the country. But 3 years ago, we formally established the Entrepreneurship Lab, and it's designed to be a collective workspace, basically to bring together students from PACE's 6 schools and colleges to work collaboratively, engage in experiential learning and problem solving, really to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. So entrepreneurship is much more than just starting your own company. That's a major manifestation of it. But if you could think and act entrepreneurially, we think that's really important, especially given today's globalized, hyper-competitive world where the nature of work has changed so much. So in addition to providing staff assistance and valuable technology resources like a 3D printer and a video studio and Alienware computers and all kinds of other stuff, we have a great staff. Nikhil has a background in engineering. John, who I mentioned, has a very strong finance background. Sonali is doing all kinds of web work. Srikanth is great at video editing. So we have all kinds of talent there as well, and a lot of different activities aside from the pitch contest and business plan competition and hackathon and app design contest. We have all kinds of networking events and fireside chats and roundtables and panel discussions. workshops, et cetera. So there's a lot going on there. I like to think of the lab as kind of a home base for entrepreneurs, or those, doesn't mean an entrepreneurship concentration, just anyone who thinks entrepreneurial. It's 1 block away. I know it seems very far, like you need a passport. You don't. It's just 163 William Street, 3rd floor, very close. And all the information you'd want is at pace.edu/elab, elab for Entrepreneurship Lab.